Well, thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Do you ever think this Parliament is stuck in some form of weird parallel universe when we hear the Labor members in some form of incredible debt denial, those dodos of economic management, are failing to acknowledge they were the ones who lost a AAA rating of Queensland's financial system? Just incredible. They've learned nothing. They've learned nothing. They were the ones who were responsible for destroying Queensland's proud AAA credit rating. Well, I've heard here today this next generation of Labor MPs who learnt nothing, spooking their self-professed financial credentials and denying that they lost the AAA rating due to their appalling financial management and their incredible administrative incompetence. I will never forget that this Labor government cost Queenslanders that AAA rating and also saw a ripping up of Queensland's low tax status, where this government they misled people deliberately in regard to taxes, which they said they weren't going to increase. Taxes such as the fuel excise, where they in fact took away that fuel tax exemption and put Queenslanders back into a higher rate of tax upon their petrol. A situation where this Labor government under this Treasurer has now raided the superannuation funds of public servants in a highly risky manoeuvre. They are breathtaking in their arrogance, they are breathtaking in the risks that they take with public money and in this case also with public servants' money. Never forget, it was Labor who had dams without pipelines, pipelines without dams. Now they've got trains without drivers and tracks without trains. Well, this Palaszczuk Labor government isn't just asleep at the wheel, they're not even at the wheel. Like the trains, this is a driverless government. And we're not talking smart car driverless here, if you're wondering. It's definitely not smart technology. It's an absence of leadership and ministerial responsibility. And it hurts jobs. It hurts jobs, particularly in the regions, and the business opportunities for those who build the jobs. Because Labor hasn't learned that jobs that create the opportunity in Queensland are actually not public servant jobs. You need good public servants. It's actually jobs in the private sector that generate the wealth, that generate the sustainable jobs that are able to keep the regions throughout Queensland economically sustained and employed. Now, we heard a few minutes ago from the Transport Minister, who in a belated ministerial statement advised the Parliament that there are yet more changes to the train's timetable on their way after the debacle of the last week. Who could imagine when the Minister was asked this morning about whether there'd be other changes, wouldn't answer it, wouldn't give a guarantee, and then snuck back in here after lunch and advised that shock horror, how horrified he is, that looks like there's going to be more changes and he wants this to be bedded down. Now, how incompetent. It's about time this Minister resigned.
Just hang on. Member from Maroochydore. Member for Bulimba.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I seek your ruling on relevance, please.
Thank you. I'll ask the member from Maroochydore to come back to the subject matter of the appropriation bill.
It's entirely relevant that this mob, the Labor Party, couldn't manage a chook raffle, let alone the finances of Queensland. It's a bit rich to hear the former member get up and take a point of order. It goes to the bone of this government and it's rotten to the bone because they are doing it yet again. They've learned nothing. And the Transport Minister, in that true incompetent managerial style of Labor, denies he's responsible. Now, you've got 200 fewer services, but oh no, they're going to be on time, a bit like the Yes Minister scene where they had a hospital which was efficient but they didn't have any patients.
Just hold on, member for Maroochydore. Member for Logan, you have a point of order?
Yeah, point of order. The previous Deputy Speaker brought up the member for Bulimba for relevance when she was speaking about the impact of budget cuts in a previous... This is not relevant to the bill and I asked that she be brought back to the bill.
Once again, member for Maroochydore, I'll have you refer to the appropriation bill.
The unforeseen expenditure, the review system that we have before the Parliament, where it's actually brought back to the parliament, gives us an opportunity to not only look at the amount of money that's being spent, but how well it's being spent. And this Labor mob couldn't run a chook rattle, and they squawk and they squirm and they want to take points of order, but it goes right to the heart of this issue. They can't run the finances of Queensland. They can't even run the train system. They think efficient running on time is to have fewer train systems. They're incompetent. They need to be thrown out. Now, Labor can't manage money. They can't manage the services. They're certainly not just asleep at the wheel, they're driverless. This is a government without leadership. This review system of supplementary or unforeseen expenditure in a timely way was brought back to the parliament due to a process that an LNP government put in place. Because we believe good economic management is actually about ensuring that people have the scrutiny of parliament in a timely way when it relates to the expenditure of taxpayers' funding. And I acknowledge the work of the Leader of the Opposition as Treasurer in the former government to ensure that we saw this situation rectified with supplementary or this unforeseen expenditure brought back to the parliament to be undertaken with scrutiny in a more timely way than had happened, well, as far as I'm aware, had probably ever happened. But in the bad old days of former Treasurer Andrew Fraser and Premier Anna Bligh, Queenslanders saw on average an overspend of $3.4 billion a year. Now, we all remember the wasteful spending and the debt spiralling out of control. Well, we should remember, except for those debt deniers and dodos of economic management on the government benches. But Queenslanders deserve better. They deserve better than this mob who can't manage finances. They deserve better than this mob who, it doesn't matter how much money they chuck at something, they always seem to stuff it up. Sorry, muck it up. So this government needs to take a lesson that good financial management is good for Queensland, and they don't know how to manage the books. And unfortunately, we see this by the confidence lacking in so many of the regions, where jobs, the unemployment figures have not recovered. And when I talk to people who are in the business sector, who want to put on more jobs, who want to create more jobs, they say, look to other states, even, shock horror, some Labor states, who are out there doing a better job than this Labor government. Because what the business sector is seeing is that the leaderlessness of this government has resulted in a lack of confidence. They see there's a sovereign risk in their investment in this state, which I don't want to see. I want to see a state where there is the confidence of people knowing that they can do business with a government that is in fact not only going to manage the finances of taxpayers well, but recognise private investment matters. Private investment is where you will grow the jobs of Queenslanders.
Call